Welcome. My name is Barbara Marcon, and I'm the Director of Senior Resources for the City of Westland. With me today is Certified Elder Law Attorney Jim Schuster. Welcome to the show.
Well, Barbara, it's a pleasure to be back with you and back in the City of Westland. Like I say, my second hometown where my mom lived for so many years. She loved it.
Yes. So I know a big part of what you do is educating, and we have done several shows together because of the importance of helping seniors save what they have worked so long to accumulate. We're going to talk first a little bit about caregiving. Under Medicaid, there are programs where if somebody is on like a care management program, the government will actually pay a family member instead of a home health aide to come in and provide care for the family. Under Medicare, however, if the seniors are affluent enough to be able to pay, say, a daughter or a son for services that they render, say $100 a week for doing the grocery and whatever, and then long-term care becomes an issue, the government can look back and say, what is this paying $400 or $500 a month to this family member? They look at that as a divestment of funds, and it could disqualify you from getting Medicaid. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that's extremely unfair for people not to be able to pay for help if it's a family member.
Absolutely. I entirely agree with you, Barbara. Let me just say that, you know, a lot of times parents have had it more fortunate in life than children. So it sometimes happens that when, you know, let's say dad passes away and he was taking care of mom and now mom needs some help, and maybe a daughter who's just down on her luck or got laid off, you know, wants to help mom. She isn't doing it for the money, but, you know, they agree, okay, we'll help daughter out, like say maybe $100 a week. Medicaid has this very peculiar rule. Now, Medicaid is let's identify it. We're talking the long-term care nursing home program. We're not talking Medicare where you go to the hospital. We're talking Medicaid. And if mom should go to a nursing home, then she'll have to apply for Medicaid. And Medicaid has what they call a 5-year look back. Let us know what you did with your money for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And they can demand to see bank statements. So like you say in this hypothetical, they look through the bank statement and say, what's this $100 a week? What's this going to? Oh, well, we were paying, you know, Susan to help mom. You know, she is around, and, you know, well, you can't do that. You can't. No, that's divestment of assets. So let's say you paid her over the past year over $5,000. We're going to say it's entirely like giving money away. We're going to impose a penalty period, and we're not going to pay the nursing home now. That is the problem we're talking about, okay? Mm-hmm. I agree with you. It's entirely wrong. And believe it or not, that even applies to the lady in the neighborhood, not just children. But suppose there's a lady in the neighborhood who will work for $10, maybe $12 an hour. You know, she used to work in a nursing home, so she's real good. Yeah. So she'll come in and help out. Medicaid 2 says, no, that's giving money away. You're just giving money away so you can qualify for Medicaid sooner in the nursing home. And the family will say, wait a minute, we did this to keep mom out of the nursing home. Right. Well, Medicaid say, no, you gave money away so you can qualify sooner in the nursing home. Let's just say that is the program, that's the way it is. It's run by the lunkheads in Lansing who, you know, obviously don't have a clue what life is about. That's right. There's a fix. Medicaid will recognize a contract that has particular requirements like services needed under a doctor's letter and things like that. Okay. So if it comes to the point, to the message to the listeners is there's a fix, and the fix is if it comes to the point where a parent needs help and for whatever reason we need to pay somebody or want to pay somebody, get a Medicaid approved contract, contact an elder law attorney, and we can get that fixed so that when you go to Medicaid will say, oh, well, the past 3 years you spent $25,000. Well, good for you. You kept mom out of the nursing home. And it can be done. And because really, I mean, you think about this, what is an average cost of a nursing home per month? Currently, this year, $8,300 a month. A month. So say you're paying a caregiver $8,000 a year. You're saving the government under Medicaid should this person
end up, spending their money and needing the government to step in and pay for that nursing home care. You're paying somebody $8,000 a year to help you stay out of a nursing home, and the government is actually saving 11 months times $8,000. So to me, there are things that really need to be done. And if people require that some help just to be able to stay in their own home, they should be able to pay for that and not be penalized for that.
Yeah, and let's just put a political note here. Seniors, talk to your representatives, people running for office, saying, what are you doing to help the seniors? So there you go.
Exactly right. All right, let's talk about another thing when it comes to caregiving. Let's talk about what happens if you want to provide something to a caregiver. Say your children are taking care of you, and they don't want anything. They've spent hundreds of hours of time caring for you over the past 10 years, and you want to do something for them in a will.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that legally?
Well, there is no one right answer, because when we're talking about a will, we're talking about a parent who's making the decision that this is how I want to reward or remember those who have helped me. Now let's really focus in on caregiving. Mm-hmm. The truth is that caregiving is almost always a lonely occupation. Usually it falls to one son or daughter.
Yes.
And the other kids, well, they got their lives to lead and they're busy, hard jobs, you name it. So often at times that there's one child who really does, like 90%
a majority of the work.
Yeah. Let's say the parent wants to reward that child. Even the child, didn't do it. Mom, I'm not doing it for the money.
I'm not taking money. I just want to help you.
The parent could have it in the will saying, I give this extra gift to my son or my daughter. Now, the wrong way to do that would be to have that son or daughter joint on your bank account. Oh, well, you'll just get all the savings left in the savings account. Bad, wrong, big fights, guns come out then, knives. All right, the right way to do it, put it in the will. And I always say you should explain your thinking to your children, okay?
Yes.
Because why? Here's another little nasty secret about caregivers. We've had shows, I don't mean but we've all seen shows about elder abuse.
Yes.
And who are 80%, if you talk to the sheriff, who are 80% of the elder abusers? Family. Mm-hmm. That means who are the perps of elder abuse? Family. So what happens? Caregivers, believe it or not only get a difficult job, now they're suspected of elder abuse. So let's take that back to our story. Oh, well, mom gave you that extra gift. You must have forced her into it. You must have told her something like, Mom, you better give me something extra, or you're going to have to go to a nursing home. I can't do this anymore. Even the daughter says, I never said that. Yeah, that's what you say. We know that you pressured mom because, look, here's dad's will, share equally. Here's mom's old will, share equally. And now this will, you get something extra. That's why I say, one, put it in the will, but two, it's a good idea to let the kids know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I know that people, and I look at it like, it is a parent's money. They can do with it what they want. I am not a person who believes that just because they share your DNA that you need to reward them equally. All of your children are different. Their life circumstances are different. And so I'm one who says, look at each child individually and give them what they need or what they've done for you, unselfishly. So if that often equates to a lawsuit and people contesting a will, so let's talk about a will and how important it is. Is there a foolproof will so that if you are you take the utmost care saying this is exactly what I want done and how I want it done, can somebody still fight it?
The short answer is yes, and the long answer is that's true even of a trust. It's true of a deed, true of a bank account. The point is, if people want to fight, they can find a way to do it. Now, I know many lawyers are out there on the lunch circuit saying, will can be contested in court, but you should have a trust. Well, trust can be contested too. Anything can be contested. The best way to do it is make sure that Now, I will tell you, I mentioned elder abuse a few minutes ago.
Yes.
It is true, unfortunately, that sometimes the children, and I can give you the psychological dynamics. If you don't mind, I'll give you a couple.
Please.
Caregiving is a lonely, difficult, stressful occupation, and a lot of times the caregiver is completely alone on the job. Oh, don't get me wrong. Oh, son will come and visit on the weekends and take mom out to lunch every now and then.
The fun things,
no,
not the showers
yeah.
and the changing the.
No, kindness, no. And not being on call 24 hours a day, no. Oh, hey, I took mom to McDonald's, spent $10, and she had a good time. You know, 1 hour, 2 hours a week. No. It's a lonely, difficult job. Believe it or not, as you talk to caregivers, and if we've been through it, we all know caregivers have a love-anger relationship. They love the chance. They thank God for the chance to give back to their mom or dad.
Yes.
They get very angry. They have no free time. You know, if they have plans to go out with the girls, you know, the ladies, go out with the girls, mom suddenly has an emergency and we have to spend 6 hours in emergency just waiting, you know, tapping our fingers. If we have vacation plans blown up, forget about no vacation for you, you know, got to be here at home. You're trying to get a good night's sleep, well, forget about it. Just when you're the tiredest, that's when I got to go to the doctor. You know, that's so it gets, a lot of the anger builds up.
There's a resentment,
Yeah.
I think, when all of your time, like you said, and the burden falls on one family,
Yeah.
one child. It's, you know, well, don't call me. I mean, I need my sleep. I work, you know, but there is some resentment, and it's not to the parent, okay? It's the situation. So you're right. There is some of that.
And
that
so
goes on.
sometimes the daughter might say, it can happen. Mom, I can't do this anymore. The doctor tells my health is failing, my heart, I got to take blood pressure pills now. You know, we're going to have to move you out of the house. And sometimes mothers say, oh, don't. What can I do to make it better? Well, you know, my bills are way behind. I can't afford to whatever. I should go out and get a second job or get a job. Oh, well, here, let me help you with the bills. Now, is that elder abuse? Is that leaning on mom, putting pressure on her? Or is that just putting the facts in front of her? Well, if you talk to the sheriff about
Gray
elder
area,
abuse,
isn't it?
It sure is. And, you know, and we've had cases where a parent sometimes, it could be a mother, it could be a father, sometimes, let's face it, just because you're a parent, you're not an angel. Some parents are manipulators, okay? Some parents do play one person against the other. Sometimes children might be neighbors, might be, you know, brother, sister. I've had a case where mom was living with a daughter in Kentucky, and she says, oh, you're the only one who cares about me. I wanted to leave the IRA entirely to you. I want to go to the bank. It's all yours. So the years went on, and mom moved back to Michigan. And guess what? With that daughter she lived with, she said, oh, you know, I want to take care of you. You're the only one to take care of me. All the children don't care, don't visit. I want to do a new will and make sure you and your family are especially recognized. After mom dies, what happens? They hire the lawyers. The kids are at each other, knife and throat, okay? Well, what about, you know, so the child in Kentucky is joining the other children fighting the newest will, right? So we come to say to the child in Kentucky, okay, mom gave special treatment to her with the will, but what about that IRA, you know? Shouldn't you be sharing it with everybody, just like you're saying the will should be shared with everybody? Oh no, I'm keeping it. Okay, so sometimes parents are the cause of the fights that go on. So I say to you, Barb, when it comes to caregiving, it's emotionally taxing, it's time taxing. That is a case where especially elder law attorneys should be brought in and saying, what are the rules, what is the situation, what's the best fix for this so you won't have your children be permanent enemies after you die. There you go.
Speaking of caregiving, I have some experience with managing a home care company, and we talk about, and I do shows on scams, and so yes, children, adult children, often take what isn't theirs from mom and dad, and often caregivers who are put in, and this is why I am very careful about the caregiving agencies that I allow into the senior center. How do you screen your employees? How do you know? Because while you may charge $25 an hour, the caregiver is getting $12. Now, I understand that they're paying workman's comp if they're injured on the job. And this is what I warn people about. When you hire privately, you can hire somebody for $10, but if they get injured in your home, lifting you or whatever, could be big trouble. So while you have a professional company coming in and they're paying unemployment and workers' comp and healthcare insurance and everything for that employee is still only making $12 an hour. So sometimes those are kind of transient and you don't know. Things are getting better and better nationally, recognizing people who have been accused of abuse and theft and all of those things in caregiving situations, but they may move from Texas to Wyoming to Indiana to Pennsylvania, then to Michigan. You don't know somebody's background entirely, so that is a word of caution.
Yes.
The other thing is, though, is like, be careful with seniors, because while, and money is power, like I said, always hang on to it as long as you can. Be really careful about things that you sign. And adult children often, they want to do the right thing, but sometimes you get a bad egg who ends up saying, just sign here on the dotted line. Mom or dad can't see well anymore, trust the child, ends over signing over the family home. So understandably, this is a big job and responsibility, not only physically, mentally, but also, you have to do the right thing with mom and dad. So now, elder abuse is something that's recognized now as a felony. I actually had somebody say to me, well, he gave her the money. And it's like, yes, but when you're coerced into giving somebody money, or manipulated or forced or threatened to give somebody money, that is not the same as willingly giving a gift. Yep. So what do you have to say about elder abuse, and how can people best protect themselves?
Okay, elder abuse is, like you say, it can be a scam contest. And how do you protect yourself against scammers? Because these people are specialized at finding your hot buttons, okay?
Yeah.
But let me just say that in general, you gave a number of situations, but one, if a child proposes to have a parent sign something, or if a parent is being wheedled to make a gift, one way to put a little bit of protection there is put an attorney in the middle of it. Now, I know some people say, well, yeah, on top of the gift, now we got to pay this attorney how many hundreds of dollars. If the attorney is guilty of malpractice, not performing his or her job, guess who pays? The attorney pays. So there's a good bit of insurance to make sure that any significant transaction, and when we say a gift, we don't mean a $20 bill. Let's face it, we're talking thousands,
yes.
Okay? So there's nice to have an insurance policy there by the way of the attorney to protect from things going very, very badly. Okay. If you don't mind, Barbara, I'd like to comment on a couple of things you said,
yes.
Earlier. One, you said, agencies, people hire agencies, but they're not all the same. I would say contact you or your office or somebody like you and say, hey, have you heard of the ABC agency? What's their reputation? Two, the agency pays the workers' comp unemployment. Believe it or not, and a lot of people be surprised, you hire that lady in the neighborhood, you are now legally an employer, and you have all the legal responsibilities of paying that lady's FICA tax, Medicare, Social Security tax. That's your obligation. Two, you have workers' comp, like I said, if she falls or strains her leg in the back, workers' compensation. Three, unemployment. If you say, well, something's missing household, just don't come back Monday. She can now file for unemployment. Even though you've just been paying her cash under the table, she can prove you employed her, paid cash. You're a legal employer, and now you're in big money trouble. You got to pay back taxes and penalties and interest. So it's always good to do it right.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so as far as families go, okay, and responsibility and financial responsibility to the parent, the person who is providing all of the care is the one usually that the parents trust with their finances.
Yeah.
Should that happen, and so how can somebody protect not only themselves with the other siblings? Just like, for example, what happens if an adult child is given a guardianship? Mom has Alzheimer's and can no longer, and part of the reason you do that is to protect them against getting involved in contracts and scams. And I mean, I ran across somebody who literally was signing contracts and getting all these magazines, and hundreds of dollars were going out because mom didn't know what mom was doing anymore, and didn't have the cognitive ability to make financial decisions. So what a guardianship does really is prevent the person with the illness or the disability from entering into legal contracts. They really don't have rights as an adult to do that, which protects them from loss. But if you are the guardian, and most of the time they like to give guardianships to family members rather than just somebody an attorney who has 150 guardianships, okay? So what is the thing that you say is most important to people who are given that fiscal responsibility? Receipts, bookkeeping. You have to be able to prove to the state that that money that you're spending, if it's your parents, is going to the right place. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
See, you mentioned guardian, and I will mention to those who, let's say, been around the track once or twice, there is the role known as conservator as well.
Yes.
Sometimes a person takes care of both duties in both offices.
Let's explain first the difference between a conservator and a guardianship.
Okay. A guardian is a person who's like the parent of let's say, an adult. The guardian makes all decisions: where you will live, what doctors you will see, what medical treatment you'll receive, what medications you take. I mean, I'm just trying to say,
yes,
they have complete power. Now, the idea isn't to have some dictator over you. The idea is that all your needs will be met.
Yes.
The conservator conserves the money, conserves the property. So the conservator is just the person who pays the bills. Okay, that's the role of it. Now, both of these offices, and I'm saying office, it means its official capacity. The guardian, the conservator, one people supervised by the court. They have to report annually to the probate court. Now, the caution I give is it's an excellent way to protect against elder abuse. If you have a son who's an alcoholic and a daughter has gotten involved in those drugs, you don't want them near your money.
Right.
So if you have a conservator appointed, that person will file an inventory with the probate court, and then of all your property. Then they'll file an annual accounting showing all the money that went in, all the money that went out, and the numbers better match. If there's money missing, it'll be sticking out like a red light, okay? That's the protection of it. Of course, the downside is all your business is public, but that's also the protection of it. And yes, it does cost money because the conservator's annual accounting does have to be reviewed. So it's expensive. There's administrative costs here, but it is protection for those who really need it. If somebody doesn't really need it, then the more private courses, the powers of attorney work better. And once again, let's just get back that power of attorney where, okay, how do I know this person is really, well, if you have two children, you can have checks and balances. You can have one who writes a check and have the other one at least check the accounts once a month just to make sure no money's unaccounted for. So you can have these sort of controls inside your own family if you really think about it.
What happens if the person who's in charge of mom and dad's finances doesn't want to share information with the other siblings?
Very bad.
Red flag?
Red flag. If that person is not allowing you to know where any of the money's going, what's happening, sold the car and doesn't have a new car. Wait a minute. Now, he has a new car. Where'd he get the money for a new car? He's never had money before. Okay, red flag. Another red flag is if you can't see mom or dad. Oh, no, you can't come over Saturday, doctor's appointment. Or no, they had a rough night. You can't come over, they'll be sleeping. Another red flag, if they're being isolated, that is a sure sign that they're being psychologically manipulated. Another red flag for sure.
Okay. Well, it's good to know all of those things because these are things that people need to do to protect themselves, to protect their family. So it's very important that that information get out. So I thank you for being our guest today and covering some of those points that are so important for families to know. Red flags, got to watch for those.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for being our
Pleasure,
guest
Barbara.
today. Thank you for our viewing audience for being with us today.